Are you tired of waking up with a dry mouth, feeling sluggish? I was too, until I discovered the power of mouth taping. I read a book called Breathe, and it opened my eyes to how I could get a better sleep. So I started taping my mouth, and the results were astounding. Not only did I wake up feeling refreshed, but the data on my Whoop suggested I was getting more REM and more deep sleep, which led to me feeling better every morning. But I wanted a better solution, not just sticky tape, something that was effective and comfortable. That is why I co-founded Recover Right with a few friends. We are dedicated to helping Australians get fast and easy access to mouth tape and nose tape so you can breathe better, sleep better, and recover right. Use the discount code TMTCP for 10% off at the checkout. Sleep better with Recover Right. Have you ever wondered when it's time to move on, or how to communicate better about your mental health? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Man That Can Project. My name is Lachlan, Stuart, and today we have an awesome guest, Sam Webb. He's not just an actor and a TEDx speaker. He is also the co-founder of Livin', a mental health organization that is breaking the stigma around mental health. I've been mates with Sam since around 2015. We actually ran an event together in Brisbane, and following his journey and watching it evolve and the impact that he's had on not only his own mental health, but mental health around Australia and then branching out into the United States has been nothing short of remarkable. So I'm excited to finally have him on the show to be able to dive a little bit deeper. This episode does come with a strong warning. We will be talking about suicide and mental health and mental illness. So if yourself or anyone that you know is struggling, make sure you please reach out. This could be triggering. So if you're in that position, I would highly recommend skipping this episode. So we're going to be talking about how to communicate better around your mental health and some lived experience where Sam had a mate take his life that led him to co-founding Livin', amongst a heap of other things. We record this episode from LA, where we're both living in America now. So buckle up for this episode. It is going to be an insightful one and a very, very inspiring one.
So Sam, welcome to the show, mate. I've been trying to organise this one for a number of years. I've been following your journey since we first connected back in, I think it was 2015. We ran that event at Functionwell. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. I remember it.
And that was the first time I was inspired by the work you were doing with Livin' and the story that you had behind that. So you've been on a massive journey the last decade. Like, it's crazy how quickly time's gone. Both over here in LA at the moment, you're doing some cool stuff. But I'd love to give the audience a bit of a background around who you are, why you founded Livin', and then we can dive into where we're headed now.
Yeah, mate, for sure. And you're dead right about this last 10 years. It's been a quick 10 years. It literally goes so fast, and it makes you wonder, what's most important in life. And it's kind of the segue which I'll speak about after I share about why Livin' started. Hi, my name is Sam Webb. I was one half of Livin'. So Livin' started in 2013, September 15, 2013, after I lost a very good friend, or we lost a very good friend to suicide, Dwayne Lally. From an outside looking in, and I'm talking about it now because it's been 10 years. Time, as you mentioned, goes very quick. There's been a lot of time to reflect. There has been a lot of time to decompress, to think about things a lot more. And now that I'm kind of stepped away from Livin' formally, I'm able to really to appreciate the journey and what it taught me and what Dwayne's death taught me. And looking back, so I was with Dwayne the night that he took his life, and the impact that his death had on an unquantifiable amount of people changed everybody's lives. And as I mentioned, from the outside looking in, Dwayne had it all. He was the life of the party. He was very charismatic. People just were drawn to him. Like he was a kind of like an alpha male guy. He was a boxer, played rugby league growing up. We played touch footy together. We always versed each other. We were very competitive. And, he would have been the last person that you would have thought that would have been struggling with anything mentally, let alone suicidal thoughts. Like, there is just no way. If you would explain that to someone, it would have been like, are you out of your mind? Like, what are you talking about? You're talking shit. Dwayne hid his pain very well, like most males do, especially, and I can talk from people in Australia, and I think the culture is quite similar here in the US. men, we hide our vulnerabilities, our weak spots. We hide them extremely well, very easy. We try and pretend things are okay. We smile through the tough times. We look at people and we're like, nah, man, I'm sweet, I'm cool, everything's great, I've got my shit together. But behind closed doors, it's very different. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I knew that Dwayne had suffered with some kind of mental health challenge. I didn't know to the extent of how serious it was. And Sam Webb, at that moment in my life in 2013, I was actually just coming out of a pretty big relationship breakdown. I actually lived in America in 2012 and I moved home and I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication for 5 or 6 years for my own mental health challenges. But I still, for someone who had experienced it myself, I couldn't really tell it in someone else. Yeah. And I certainly couldn't really articulate it enough so that it makes sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was just like, I never spoke about my challenges ever. I never went to speak to someone other than a psychologist or my girlfriend at that time prior. But I never, or my mum, or the people I really trusted, right, in my life, the people I really trusted, or a mental health professional. Yet I didn't know the warning signs and symptoms. I only knew it for myself because you're so invested in how you're feeling. You're trying to escape those feelings, right? Dwayne suffered with bipolar and depression for a number of years. I didn't know how severe it was until the night that I was with him. And I remember Dwayne saying to me, Webby, come over mine. So I was meant to catch up. We were meant to do a double date. Him, his girlfriend at the time, they were together for 6 or 7 years. And he tried to set her friend up with me. And we'll go and do a dinner and it was all going to be a great night. Those dinner plans got cancelled. Dwayne's like, you're coming to my house, having a little party. The football was on. He was a big Bulldogs fan. And it's just a close friends at his place in Palm Beach. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I come on over and I'm like, yeah, sweet, get the girls to pick me up. They picked me up. We head to his house. Dwayne was the happiest. He answered the door. I remember in a TNC shirt with a beanie on, his Converses on. He's like, come on in. He's happy as, just like any other time. Very happy. Had a couple of drinks. The night was great. And not long later, he's like, during the night, he's like, Webby, come here, I want to talk to you. So I was talking to him in his room, and out of nowhere, Dwayne opened up to me about his mental health problems. And on this level, I didn't even know what to expect. I'm like, what do you want to chat about? Yeah, we're having a chat, just a lads chat, just him and I. Yeah. And he's like, Webby, no one really knows this, but yeah, I've tried to take my life before. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, why did you tell me this? Why is this getting told to me now when we're under the influence? And then he's like, not once, but twice. Like I've tried to take my life twice before. And I'm like, what do I say? My mind's going 100 miles an hour. I'm thinking, what should I say? What's right? What's wrong? What would I think in this situation? What would I want to hear in this situation if I was in his shoes? I'm reassuring Dwayne, man, what do you mean? Like, talk to me, bro. I'm here. You're in a safe space. And he's like, yeah, I tried to take my life before twice, and yeah, I'm the kind of guy that would do it. Like, no, like there are a lot of people in the world that say they're suicidal and they get down and I'm fucking kill myself, all this stuff that people say, which doesn't help with the stigma. He's like, but I'm kind of pretty twisted like that. Like I'd probably be one of the guys that do it. And I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking, what do I say next? I'm listening. I'm trying to listen as best as I could. I'm trying to listen as best as I know how. In that moment, having a few drinks and whatever else. And I try to reassure him, you're okay, man. Like, is everything good? Like, where are you at now? No, Webby, I'm fine. I just want to share it with you how I was feeling. Like, it was a lot. I could never do it. I could never let my family down, never let my mum and that down because it was so close to his mum.
Yeah.
His whole family, he was. He's like, I could never do it. But I just want to let you know where I'm at. Like, I'm pretty twisted like that. Like, I've got the balls to do that if I needed to. But I wouldn't do it again. It was like, yeah, I don't even know how to say it. I was like, what do I say? Trying to listen. I'm reassuring him, if you're ever feeling low in your life and at a point where you feel like that is an option, you can call me anytime. You can phone me. I don't care if it's at 3 a.m., whatever time of the night. You've got 1,000 people who would line up at a door waiting to help you. You've got your family who are the best things ever. And we're all here to support you. No, I'm sweet. I promise everything's good. I'd never do it. Life's great. We started talking about different medications he was on, and I'd been on some of them in the past. And, you know, I started sharing about how I'd felt in the past, and that, you know, I'd been on mental health medication for a while up and down, and anxiety and mild depression for a number of years. And we were just talking, man. And it was at the end of it, I'm like, you sure you're okay, man? Remember, you can always call me no matter what. And I was at this party with him, and I sat there and we were having a hell time. I was with him basically all night. Because I knew the other people at the house, and I knew his friends and my friends, but I wasn't as close to them.
Let's take a quick break.
Are you seeking to understand who you are, what you want from life, and where you fit into this busy world? The Man That Can Project Self-Discovery Program is the program to help you answer those questions. This program with 3 comprehensive modules helps you get clear on who you are as a man, what you want from your life, and where you can set yourself up to thrive. Throughout this program, you're going to dive deep on some of the life's questions that only the most successful people ever spend time to answer. It's not only about standing out in this busy world, but it is using your life experiences to create a better life for yourself. I know that I wish I had this when I started my journey. It would have helped me fast track success and get clear on what was truly important. Once you complete this program, you're going to have a better sense of direction and purpose for your life. You will have more confidence and resilience and a complete roadmap to create the life that you want. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. Head over to themanthatcanproject.com and check out the self-discovery program. I can promise you, your life will never be the same.
And so I remember the last things he said to me was, don't worry, Webby, I'm fine. That was the last thing he said to me. I left that room, and there was a lot of conversation, a lot of weight that we probably both wore. And I left, and I remember sitting at the front door that night. There's a big couch right next to the front door. Front door's to my right. I'm sitting there with this girl, and we're just chatting, having a good night, and parties going on. Not too loud, music, people having D&Ms, conversation. This is a long-winded one. I'm giving you the full story.
Mate, I'm very interested to listen.
And I see his girlfriend at the time come out from me, and I'm like, what's he crying about? Dwayne's going to kill himself. He just told me he's going to kill himself, and I think he's going to do it this time. And I sat down, and I'm like, well, where is he? I was just let me sort of talk to him. And like, he didn't come past me because I was seeing him and having a conversation that we had, like my eyes were dialed in. And I didn't see him coming. She goes, he's escaped. He ran out the back door or whatever, and I was looking around the house everywhere for him, man, and couldn't find him anywhere. She's like, he said he was going to do it, and he's done this before, but I feel like this time he's for real. He's going to do it. He said he was going to do it, and he promised all my life he was going to do it, and I'm like, fuck. And so, mate, I was pretty drunk at this stage, and I remember jumping in the car with the girls, both of them, and we drove halfway around the Gold Coast that night looking for him from Palm Beach, and no responses on the phone. I was texting, please answer, bro. Don't do anything stupid, man. I'm here. We just had this great conversation. I'm here for you. I'll listen to you. I'll do whatever I can to get you the support that you need to get back on track. His mum was trying to, like, we alerted her, and I didn't want to freak her out, and she called him. He didn't answer. I'm like, fuck, this isn't good. When he's not answering his mum's calls, this isn't good. No one was closer than him and his mum were.
Yep.
Nobody. But he was so tight with his whole family. Like, they were first in his life always. And, man, I remember going to the Palm Beach, the bridge there, just off Calabudra Drive, and Sam did a U-turn under the bridge, drove back out. And, man, it was the next day, him and I were meant to watch at the Shark Bar, Miami Shark Bar, Canelo Alvarez versus Floyd Mayweather. He's a huge, he was Golden Gloves in his prior boxing days, and he loved fighting. Like, he was a professional athlete in that regard. And I'm like, he's going to show up. Like, I couldn't sleep that night thinking the worst, but not trying to think the worst.
Yep.
So I don't think the worst. He's going to be okay. He told you it's very heavy, and hope that wasn't a cry for help. And then, mate, I remember seeing faces of Dwayne on Facebook and on Instagram, please alert police or let us know if you've seen him around anywhere. And I knew this started getting serious. This was like, he wasn't coming to Shark Bar. I didn't get any missed calls that next day. He wasn't answering my calls. Nobody's. The messages, nothing. I'm like, this is super fucking weird. Mate, I got a call at 5 o'clock, I think, that afternoon. That day was the slowest day of my life, I reckon. Just thinking, like, what's doing? Like, where is he? Is anyone down him? Surely he's just going to turn up. There's no way he would have taken his life. Like, there's just no way. He just told me that he would never have done it, and looked at me in the eye and promised me he was fine, and he had so much to live for, and the future was looking bright and promising for him, and we were talking about the future. And mate, I got a call at 5 o'clock saying Dwayne had been found dead. And man, I remember where I was sitting on my seat in my apartment in Burley Waters, and I was eating a pizza actually at the time, and I grabbed it and I just threw it, and I didn't want to believe what I just heard. Dwayne had been found dead. He'd taken his own life. And I said, there's no way that's happened. Like, I was in shock. So I got back in my car on a Sunday night and I drove up to the hospital. That's where his family were and his close friends. And I didn't believe it until I seen it. Like, I had to see this in my own eyes to actually believe what I was hearing was true. And mate, I remember being in a viewing room and like warning for anyone listening. And this is some pretty heavy content. So I'll do a warning. Content warning at the start. Man, the moment they wound back those curtains, I saw Dwayne, man. He was just laying there. Same clothes, except the beanie, same everything. And I was just fucking with him. Like, not long ago, not even 24 hours ago. Like, we were just having a conversation. The fuck did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I not give him the support that he needed? And man, he was dead, like he was in front of me. And it was just, I'll never be able to erase that moment in my life. And it's not about me, obviously, but his family, man, what I saw in his family, they're never going to be the same. Like, I've seen them over the years, not as much as I'd like, because I feel like at times, being around the family and seeing them, it kind of reminds them. Yep. When you're like, certain moments, he was the last person to have a chat with my son. It's pretty sad.
Do you feel any guilt?
I felt so much guilt, man, for so many years. And I think that's what the relentless passion and the purpose behind setting Living up was. Dwayne used to always say, we're living, man, we're living. And for anyone listening, that's the segue into living. He always used to say, we're living. And I was like, we have to do something about this. And during that time, man, I was like, my wheels are falling off, and I started sliding deep back into severe, like, dark times in my life, but I was trying to stay afloat by trying to do something well and good for the community in Dwayne's name with Casey and a few other people. That was monumental help. I couldn't have done it without anyone. Well, we could have done it without each other. So I'm sitting there, and we started living, long story short, and I started with doing mental health awareness and suicide prevention initiatives, like breaking the stigma around mental health. What did we have, or what didn't we have, I should say, at the moment in our life that we would have liked to have had, or we could have had, that may have saved this situation and stopped this from happening. And we asked Dwayne's family for permission. We're like, we really want to do something in Dwayne's honour and his legacy. Can we start something? And we sold shirts at his wake. And they all sold Dwayne's face, and he had this song, Follow the Sun, from Xavier Rudd on the shirt, and they sold, and we got the money, and Dwayne's family donated the money to us and said, do something cool with it. So we literally had, like, I think they'd raised like $4,000, and we used that and turned that into Living. And that was a huge process of starting a charity, and that's probably a whole nother conversation. Yeah. Pitching to a law firm on the Gold Coast, can you take us pro bono, like crying in front of them almost, going, please, we want to do this, we want to save lives. And there's so much support. Living wouldn't be where it is today, and I say it all the time without everyone. Everybody's been involved equally as much as I've been involved. And man, Dwayne's death was a wake-up moment for not only me, but for a lot of people in our community. And I wasn't, even though I've lost people in my life prior to even Dwayne passing away, they never spoke about it and talked to you about it at the start of this episode. I wasn't really aware about it. We weren't aware about the statistics that surrounded mental health and suicide prevention and suicide in general until we started working it with Living, and we started doing the charity and started speaking at schools and going to workplaces and started really diving into the statistics and the facts and speaking to mental health professionals. We realised that there was a big problem. And not just in Australia, it's a big problem all over the world. Mainly here, obviously Australia, America, all these Western societies. But Dwayne's death, it affected thousands and thousands of people. You can't put a number on someone's life. And obviously, if I could take everything back, including that event, the night, and all the work that's been done in the interim between 2013 and up until today, I would in a heartbeat. But you can't do that.
Yep.
And we live and we learn. And yeah, it was fucking terrible, man. It was wild.
You guys, I still remember when Living sort of started showing up everywhere. A lot of our friends, I grew up in Toowoomba, but was playing footy down the coast and everything like that. So it just started popping up everywhere. And I first was, buddy I grew up with committed suicide when we were 14. It was on the front page of the Toowoomba Chronicle. No one spoke about it. Like, no one ever asked if I was all right or if other people were all right. And I just remember keeping that paper under the bed, and you'd pull it out and cry about it. But then as a bloke, you're like, can't show any feelings about that, can't talk about it. And then it started happening more and more since we left school. We've lost like 9 mates now from school, which is insane. But what you guys did with Living, and there's a lot of other charities and organisations doing stuff now, but you sort of paved that way, especially for why I related to it was like ex-football boys doing it, and generally we're the ones that find different ways to deal with our emotions, partying, etc. So more people started talking about it, and then learning the next tools, like how do you communicate, how do you, I guess, sit down and have a mate open up to you, how do you know when it's a real red flag, all of those sorts of things, which when you sit there learning, whether it's mental health, first aid or anything like that, you're like, why do we call this at school? Exactly. It's human connection, right? And then you start recognizing the importance of obviously health professionals, but we also start recognizing the importance of us as individuals. I feel a lot of people don't feel they're qualified to help.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's like person to person, like building relationships is part of that, and finding purpose and meaning and making others, and if not yourself, feel valued and feel heard can go a long way as well.
Definitely, man, definitely. And I think, yeah, that you don't have to be professional to save someone's life.
Yep.
Learned that firsthand. And I'm sure you have too, with all the great work you've done over the years and the conversations you've had, man. I mean, yeah, mental health is paramount, and it's definitely something that people talk about a lot more these days. It's still very complex. Mental health is complex. Our brains are complex. Humans are complex, man. They're not simple. We're not just simple three-dimensional characters. That's not what we are. It's very complex. And what I've learned mostly over the last 10 years, before I stepped down from Living, was that there are a lot of people that you can save, and you can help a lot of people. But there are always going to be people that fall through the cracks, unfortunately. And Casey and myself and the community that we started Living with, we're going to have a zero policy game here. This is a zero suicide game. No one's dying ever again. We're going to fucking save the world. We were very wrong, really quick. Because the great work gets so far, there's always gaps. And as you know, in a part of Australia, for the listeners, rural, you'd almost say Toowoomba's kind of rural,
yeah,
right?
definitely,
or a country town.
Yeah.
Access to support, access to help, that tough it up mentality is even stronger. You don't get you don't get access to the support that you'd get in a city of, say, Sydney or Brisbane, you know what I mean, or Melbourne.
Actually, yeah.
So there are always going to be people that fall through the gaps, but our job as thinkers, just humans, is just trying to listen, just trying to be there for people who might be struggling.
Yeah.
And don't try and problem solve. I reflect, and you asked me before, right? Did I feel guilty? Of course I felt. There were years of feeling guilt around Dwayne's passing. Pardon me. Should I have done more? Did I listen good enough? Did I say the wrong thing? Should I have stayed with him all night, not let him out of my sight? There's so many things that came into mind, but I can't take back what had happened. And I only knew what I knew in that moment of time with the information that I had, right, in that moment. There was nothing that I could have done anything else. But yes, I beat myself up. Why didn't you do more? Why didn't you listen? Why didn't you listen to more? You shouldn't have been drinking. There shouldn't have been drugs at the party. All this stuff. But I can't take that back. And I didn't know. I can't foresee the future. But what I can do is see what happened. Where did it go wrong? What can I change for the future? And the biggest takeaway from Dwayne's passing for me is stop trying to problem solve everything, especially in these kind of conversations, even with your loved ones right now. If you have a son, daughter, I don't have families yet, hopefully one day, but I've got a wife. And it's the same thing, stop trying to be a problem solver all the time, because Sam Webb's brain kicked in that night. I was like, how can I help? Where can I fix it? Maybe Dwayne just wanted me to shut the fuck up and listen more. Listen non-judgmentally. I wasn't being judgmental at all, but it was like maybe I could have listened more. And so these are the things. Listen non-judgmentally. Stop trying to problem solve. You're not supposed to have the answer to everything, and you won't. People, and I can talk from my own experience as being at the depths of life many times, is like what I'm looking for in those moments is someone to say, okay, here's a grand, big, special plan, and life is laid out in a platter, and this is the way forward. It's not about that. It's about someone just shutting up, listening to you with open ears, and trying to help you however you can. For example, Lockie, I see that you're struggling. Is there something that I can do right now that may be able to help you? You might be like, nah, Sammy, I'm sweet. Life is great. I'm fine, man. Yeah? Okay, no worries, man. I just want to let you know as a good friend, I'm here whenever you're ready. There's no pressure, no rush. Just let me know when you're ready. Just give me a tap, give me a text, give me a call, whatever works for you. No worries, man. Now you know, as a friend, that Sam's listened, he's opened up the space, and he's provided a segue for you to get the support you need whenever it's time for you. There's no pressure, there's no problem solving, and there's no shoving information and education and self-help tips down your throat. Go to the gym, fucking go for a run, sit in a sauna, you'll feel better in 30 minutes. I know you feel better in 30 minutes, and I go for runs almost every second day. I know it makes you feel better. But for some people, they can't run like you and I. Yeah. They can't get on a treadmill. They can't get on a fucking bike. They can't go to the gym. They can't sit in a sauna. That shit's too hard. What can I do right now that's going to help you? And that's just shutting up and listening and just being an open ear. That's it. And you do not have to have a medical degree for that. And that's the one thing I've learned.
That's a massive takeaway. Like the fact for them, that big thing is actually just opening up. I remember we're in Bali, but we're on a beautiful island over in Papua New Guinea. Amazing. We were meant to go out on the boats and whatever, and I was depressed. I was having a really, really, really low day. I was like, I just need to be not locked in. I didn't get locked in, but just stay in the room. You guys go do your thing. And I was sitting there thinking, like, why the fuck do I always have these big mood swings? And I sat in it for fucking like 6 hours. And then I remember at one point I was like, right, my goal wasn't to go run or anything like that. But it's like, if this happens again, instead of it being 6 hours, it's going to be 5 hours. What do I need to do to decrease the time of these mood swings? And over time, I've developed different habits. I still have massive highs and lows and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm a lot more aware around triggers that cause them. That's the reason why I was saying to you, I don't drink a heap like I used to, because that's not really good for me, and various other things. But it wasn't the fact that I'm like, get your ass off and go for a run, you lazy bastard, because that just makes me feel I'm already feeling like a failure. So I was so sad in the fact that now I can't run or get in the sauna. It's like now I feel like a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
So to your point, like the fact that someone's opening up to you is a really big, huge thing for them, right? So meet them where they're at and just then hopefully whatever that next step is for them, they'll feel comfortable taking that when they're ready. But even depression and anxiety, and you mentioned bipolar, while we label all of these things, it's like that experience for everyone is so unique.
It is.
It's one of the things I hate is like when people say, oh, I've been depressed or I've been anxious, this is what it's like, this is what I did. I'm like, yeah, but that was your experience. You're completely disregarding what you've just said, where it's like, just listen. Don't jam your experience down my throat or anything like that. It's helpful when I'm in a good mood. Right now, just potentially listen.
Yeah, and that's it, man. I mean, no one has the answers to everything. Mental health is complex, and your experience is very different to mine. Your anxiety is different to my anxiety. You might have some similar symptoms, but it affects us differently.
Yep.
It's unique. And what works for you may not work for me. Maybe some of the things work for me. Like, just have a hot shower, feel relaxed. Yeah, that definitely works for me. This one, being in a crowded place, super anxious isn't probably the best place for me. Maybe it's a good distraction for you. So it's very different. It's extremely unique. Don't judge someone's experience. Just be there and listen. Like you mentioned, be with them at that same level and just listen. Mental health is, hand on my heart, is the most important thing in life in order to get your physical health at its optimal and its highest potential and your spiritual potential. Everything's, I feel like, revolves around your mental wellness. So whatever you can do to feel good in life between your ears and sharp and feel confident and uplifted and satisfied and maybe even content, you're already miles ahead of where almost most people are.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's a funny thing, you know. This is a bigger conversation than suicide prevention. This is a conversation of, it's a mental health game we're looking at here. Life is a mental health game. Everything that you do is all about how you react to situations under pressure, how you react to situations under stress. What are you saying back to someone in the road rail, like in cutting off in traffic?
Yeah.
Like, this is all mental related. It's not how big you are, how much weight you can lift, how far you run, how hot's your wife, or how successful you are in your business. It's how you react to situations, and that all starts with the way that your brain is kind of functioning at that moment. So it's what you can do to strengthen that brain, that muscle, that you can show up in this world and be the best version for yourself, but then you're going to be the best for everyone else. You're going to be best for your mates, you're going to be best for your wife, your partner, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your niece, whoever it is, your colleague. You're going to be better at work. You're going to be better in the gym because you feel cleaner. Yeah, like you feel clearer. So you know what you want. You know how to lift, what to lift. You're more motivated. So it just affects everything. You know what I mean?
100%.
So that's why I'm very pro mental wellness. It's not, mental health is like a continuum.
Yep.
We all sit on a continuum of 0 to 10, for example, and we slide and come up and down and on a day-to-day, a minute, hour-to-hour basis. We might be doing cool right now. We're on a podcast, we're having a good chat, talking about wellness and how to help people and experiences. But maybe there's something that breaks down this afternoon. Maybe there's a big business deal that goes wrong, or a house falls through that you wanted to buy, or the missus is in an accident. God forbid it doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that might get you off guard, and then shit happens, and then you might slide, and then you might be now stressed, and you might be slipping.
Yeah.
But it's when we sit too far down on the bottom part of the spectrum, because mental health and mental illness are two very different things. We've all got mental health. It's just where we sit on that spectrum. Mental illness is a diagnosable mental health challenge, which changes the way that you behave on a day-to-day basis. It can affect your day-to-day moods, your decision-making, and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually a diagnosable illness, like a broken arm or a leg. But we all have mental health, so it's important to make mention that, because they're very different. Mental health and mental illness, two different things.
I don't think people cover that enough. So for me, it's like mental health as well. Same with physical health. You could be the absolute sports star. Like, how often you've probably seen you go back home and the stud of the fucking Stuart football team was jacked and all that. Now he's, 40 kilos overweight and hasn't looked after himself. And it's like, okay, well, health doesn't matter whether you've got pinnacle mental health, spiritual health, financial health today. It can be taken away from you with things out of your control, but also things that maybe you're doing, right? And that's why for me, it's like learning these tools and resources, and communication is a massive one for well-being. And I think moving anything towards relationships, finances, the better you can communicate, people can understand you, you can understand them, and you understand yourself better, which is key to going, okay, I feel like I'm heading towards a bit of a slippery slope. Do I need support? Do I need, my professional help? Do I need tools? And, medication's a tool, exercise is a tool. There's so many fucking tools, just like there's so many diets. And it's like, you got to choose the ones that work well for you. Yeah. But, the tools that worked for you 10 years ago may not work for you today. That's why it's like you're constantly, chipping away at it. And I think you sharing your story and what you guys have done with Living has been huge, because there's more people than ever going, man, this is my experience with it. This is what worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but if you ever feel you want to test that out and add it to your life, awesome. Like, test that out and give it a crack.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've said it a couple of times now. You've obviously stepped away from Living. I was listening to a podcast that you're on recently, and I was very curious as to why and sort of what's next for you, because you've obviously put your heart and soul into that for 10 years. And I do remember you saying, like, it gave you purpose, right? And I'm a big believer, and I should write down here, like, purpose is the reason for which something is done and created and for which something exists. And you were doing that in memory. but also it then gave you purpose to stop other people taking their life. So for something that was your vehicle, and I want to really highlight this because a lot of people think that a decision they've made is something that's going to stay for the rest of their life. You know, it's like that's why so many blokes don't make decisions. And like, fuck, what if I don't like that? Or what if that's the wrong decision? It's like you're 10 years into something and now you've made a new decision to try something new. What, I guess inspired that? And were you nervous as well about leaving behind something that had been a big part of your life for the last 10 years?
It's a great question. I appreciate you asking. And you know what? It was a very hard decision. For me, I think a big catalyst of it was leaving Australia.
Yep.
Leaving Australia to come to America. I credit Living and Dwayne and this whole movement for saving my own life a number of times, to be honest. And it gave me everything that I have in life in terms of my being, my purpose, my mission. And yeah, it really was an incredible experience. It was great to be a part of. Met some of the most beautiful people along the way. People changed my life. I changed their life. We changed their life. I was involved in some cool initiatives. Every life remembrance, man. I'll never forget it. And I'll always be a part of it in some way, shape or form, whether I'm just advocating for Living or whatever. Moving to America in 2019, I decided obviously I wanted to come over here. I did want to pursue living in America because I realised living would be needed in the States.
Yeah.
It's probably needed everywhere. But also, I've got other dreams and aspirations too of that I want to achieve in my life. And, one of them is acting. And I moved to the States with my now wife, and it just naturally happened, I feel like, man. I mean, being here and being so far removed from the team, trying to work remotely wasn't really beneficial for the team or myself and my own and them and probably everyone's mental health.
Yeah.
It's not great. Working in different time zones by yourself, it was very hard. And I wouldn't say that I lost my love for it, but I wasn't doing the work that I was doing on the cold face. Like, so when I lived in America, I was on the ground. When I was living in Australia, I was on the ground, right? I was meeting people, speaking at events, seeing people's change by having interactive conversations. Whereas when I'm in America, I didn't realize it at the time. I was like, nah, it's going to work. I can make it work. But nah, man, I was very wrong. It was coming to the States. I was basically fully removed and then just working on higher level tasks, operational stuff, which I'm not good at. And I'm not the greatest person to be doing. And I don't enjoy it, to be honest. So I guess for me, it was that, but also knowing that I'd been doing it for 10 years. I loved what I did. This legacy as a leader, I think it's important to recognize when your time is up and knowing that it's okay to leave something behind that you might have had a hand in creating and you were so passionate in it and you changed lives and you changed your own life. It's okay to be able to say, you know what, I'm at a place now where I feel healthy enough to walk away from it and I'm going to try something else. I'm going to pass that on to someone else, pass the baton to someone else, and they can fly the flag with their own new visions and their own new missions and their way of life. And they're going to be more hands-on because they're back in Australia. I wasn't doing it justice being in America, man, unless we started it here. And it just, for a lot of different reasons, it wasn't meant to be. And here I am, man, in America. As I said, it was the most amazing experience I had. I love it. I love everyone involved in it. I'm very grateful to have got the opportunity to be a part of it for 10 years. And it's going to, my goal was getting into it was changing one life, saving one life. We've saved thousands of lives, and I want living to outlive me. I want it to teach other people a legacy. I want it to be a thing people remember in their own day-to-day lives and their own behavioural changes. So I feel like for me it was a success. I'm now onto my next missions, and I'm still advocating for wellness and mental health in everything that I do, and I'll always do that. And that's just a part of my life and my DNA, and I'm very grateful and lucky to be able to do that from afar.
That's awesome, man. It's exciting. I was thinking about, like, in my head, I wonder why I was thinking about your potential responses, and there was a quote that probably hits that well, where it's, the purpose of life is to discover your gift, the work is to develop it, the meaning of life is to give it away. And that's sort of what you've done with living, and now obviously moving into that next chapter of your life is pretty bloody exciting as well. And I even look at that back as for mental health as well. I know when I was, I guess, at my rock bottom after footy, I didn't have a purpose, or I didn't think I had a purpose, but I hadn't explored much outside of that because for so long my identity was I'm a footy player, that's it. And then when that's taken away from you, it's like, oh, my purpose is done, my life's done. But what I've recognised over the last 10 years is by just trying new stuff, trying to find purpose. I found things, even the Man That Can project, people ask me, you're going to do this forever? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not attached to it anymore like I used to be. I love it. It's everything to me right now, but I don't, if I believe it's everything that defines me, if I ever do step away from it or walk away from it, I'm going to find myself in that same fucking position I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a husband, I consider myself an athlete still, I'm a business, but there's so many elements to me. And I think that's for everyone. We just don't give ourselves enough acknowledgement or shine the light on those aspects of ourselves. So when one thing's taken away, we're like, fuck.
Yeah, I think it's a super important thing you brought up, actually, man. I think, and to your point about the transitional stuff and how you get stuck up in this identity, one thing I did really, and yes, the whole transition out of living's been difficult as far as finding my real strong, happy purpose where I wake up every day and I'm fucking shit burning. I'm loving it. Like, yes, it's difficult. But like you said, you try things, you test things, you find things. Doesn't happen overnight, it may take years, but eventually will come. But not wrapping yourself up in an identity like I'm Sam for the living dude, or that's not what it's about. Like I'm Sam who's generous, I'm Sam who's kind, I'm compassionate, I'm a good listener. Now, maybe when I was younger I wasn't the best listener, but I'm a lot better than now. I'm a very hard worker. I don't take no for an answer. These are things that we should identify with, as opposed to I'm a banker, I'm an actor, I'm a musician. All these things is where people go wrong, because when that stuff's taken away from them or it fails or they don't succeed in it, it's like, well, fuck, what am I? Then you feel lost, then you implode. So I did a pretty good job with that, with living, because I spoke to so many people throughout the 10 years and throughout my life experiences. I've seen it on podcasts, heard professional athletes struggle with this transition of identity crisis, and I was like, I can't do that. So I trained myself pretty well. So I with that part, I've been very blessed. I've been great because I positioned myself well enough to, I'm not Sam that I helped with it.
Yep.
That's not who I am.
It's a good point, though. Everyone's going to experience transition at some point in their life. So whether you think it's not going to happen to you, you need to start getting prepared for it, because it will happen, whether it's your kids leave the home, whether we've got a big portion of dads in our community. I literally jump on all their calls because I'm like, oh, I want to be a dad one day, obviously. And the stuff that they're talking about, some of it, one's just become a granddad. So it's like, it's very interesting hearing different stages of life and learning from them what they wish they knew. And I'm like, well, I was thinking about that on the way over. I'm like, fuck, all the advice if I knew everything I knew now when I was younger, I wouldn't have made the same mistake.
Yeah, true.
So that's never going to be reality for any of us. We have to learn through our experiences. But if we have people who are older than us in the position we've been in, and we have the ability to talk to them and learn from them, why the fuck aren't we doing that? And when we do talk to them, why don't we actually listen to what they're saying rather than going, no, stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll do it.
It's wisdom.
Yeah, literally. That's the word I was looking for. I was hoping it would come out, but
there it is.
Yeah, I don't have enough of that yet. But you've mentioned acting as well, right? So over in LA, acting, from the little that I know about it, is not a sport, a career where you face extreme rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been part of your experience? And if so, what has inspired you to continue going? Because rejection is something people just won't do anything in their life because they're fearing it. They aren't even experiencing it. They're experiencing the fear of it. So for you as an actor and your experience, how have you been inspired to continue to work through that?
99.99% has been no's, been rejections. And that's the industry I've got into bed with, I guess. That's just what I've said before. I love doing it. I feel like for me, and part of the story is I started pursuing acting. I should have done it a lot earlier. I was doing it as like an extra and as a kid. My family used to try to push me into it, but I was always into sports. But when Dwayne passed, it was actually part of my first ever performance. It was a 12 show performance on the Gold Coast. Actually, it was halfway through rehearsals when Dwayne passed. It's what kept the glue together. And it's what made me feel alive, made me feel really present.
Yep.
I could forget about everything in life and just be super in the moment. It's kind of like that same thing you'd feel back, as as an athlete, when you're in the zone. It's the same feeling. I feel in the zone when I'm on a set or I'm in a class. It's the same feeling. It's very addictive. I love it. Very hard. I'm here in LA. Mate, this is the Mecca. This is the Super Bowl of entertainment.
Yeah.
So I've signed up for the hardest gig in the world, but mate, I feel like I've got what it takes. I don't take no for an answer. I love working hard. I love hard work, and the acting's cool because you've got to be very empathetic. You're very compassionate. You've got to understand different types of people, what you are and what other people are, and how you can become that person in a way by using your instrument, being myself. So you get a very good side to understanding other people from a psychological point of view.
Yeah.
And I like it, man, because it's a very big challenge for me. And I don't know, I love being present because it's something I struggle with in life. I'm always thinking about things. My mind goes pretty quick, doesn't really slow down until the night. And it's one of those things that really slows me down and makes me really present and appreciate things. And yeah, I know I'm going around in circles here, but yeah, acting is the hardest. It's been nothing but rejection. But you got to take the small wins. It's what's in your control, and you just keep getting back up. And if it's something that you want well enough and a lot, you find a way.
Yeah.
It's whatever it takes, and that's the mindset that I'm in right now. It's whatever it takes for me, and I'm literally It's not an option to fail in it.
There's two things that I take away from that that I get excited about. One is obviously the experience of who you become in that process, being present, something I also struggle with. I'm always doing something and I'm like, what's coming tomorrow or whatever, and I'm very aware of that. But one thing that I'm very uncomfortable with is dancing and acting. And my missus hates it that I don't do it. But as you're explaining it there, it's like you get in your body and it's the one time you are fully present, because you've got to notice how, maybe as an actor, how your facial expressions are, how your body language is. Breathing, all of these things that center you. And we hear it with meditation and a lot of other things, but acting in itself is probably a great way to do that. And that literally just hit me there. I'm like, fuck, maybe I should
take some classes.
Yeah, no,
acting is meditation.
Well, stand-up,
exactly what it is.
Yeah, well, I think for people who struggle being present, maybe that's a random tool, but a tool to get in your body and learn to become more aware of it. Because when you can do that mentally, it's going to help you as well.
And more comfortable too, man. I mean, I've become more comfortable. It's very hard. It's a very hard craft. Acting looks easy when you look at experts doing it, but it's very hard. It's a very hard industry, both professionally as a craft and both from a business perspective. It's very hard to get in. So, mate, I'm here for the ride, and I'm excited.
And you're going to have these life stories as well that so many people won't have, because if you did that traditional, I know, or you said you were in banking, right?
Yeah, my background.
Yeah, fuck.
Because I'm doing that.
No, kidding on down bankers. But if you stay on that path, that's what your life's probably going to look like, right? Yeah. Then most people aren't taking many risks or creating that life resume. I don't know if you're familiar with Jesse Itzler, where he talks about building that life resume. And it's he's an amazing dude. But anyway, you look at back on your life, even for me, my business was pumping back home, very comfortable, living a dream. And then to move out here to support my wife, one left a lot behind, but it's we're making the gnarliest memories ever. We've just been on 22 state road radio tour, and I was amazing. Sucks, but also fun as.
When are you going to get a chance to do that?
Literally. It's the stuff you'll talk about, and I think it's very important. It's what gives me purpose and also excitement in life, because even though it's not always fun, it's looking back, the stories are fun.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people don't have good stories because they're not trying new things or experiencing rejection or failure. And it's one thing, those cliche sayings where there's no failure, it's just an opportunity to learn or whatever it is. And that's all it is, right? Because it shows you who you need to become to get the result that you want, rather than it's just that association with failure. You're a failure. It's that's complete bullshit. You're only a failure if you believe that.
Exactly.
You need to change the narrative.
Just change that. Changing your relationship or the definition of what failure means to you, I guess, take it as a learning experience, not as you've lost your shit, you suck, because that's just degrading.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've also got involved in something exciting happening here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I am. It's a very new industry for me. Still health and wellness related. So I'm still having an impact on people's lives, hopefully. I'm sure we will. It's called Air Locker Training. It's obviously started in Australia, but the boys who I'm working for and with have brought the concept to the US, and we're opening up our first ever US studio in San Diego. That will be the head office. And for those people who don't know what Air Locker Training is, it's the first ever simulated altitude group fitness training.
So cool.
So essentially, it's like people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean simulated altitude training? Well, it's basically pretty simple. You walk into a room, and it's like you're training at 12,000 feet above sea level. So it's like you're at top of Colorado, one of the mountains there. So your oxygen intake's a little lower. So it's you notice it. There's no masks. There's none of this sinus pressure and all the stuff you get if you were to climb base camp in Colorado, because what we're doing is manipulating the oxygen molecules in the air. Very simple. We breathe at, say, 21% oxygen at sea level. In our rooms or in our studio, you're breathing at 14.5% oxygen.
Yeah.
Basically, so your blood saturations diminish. Okay. So what that means is, basically when we're breathing right now, we're at about 98, 99%, right?
Yep.
Blood sats. In our studios, when you're working out in a group setting, in a team setting, which is unreal, your blood sats try to be around about the 83 to 85% mark. So you only notice it a fraction on your breathing. People are like, oh, that sounds scary and daunting. Not at all. It's a very minor adjustment to your breathing, but the positive mental benefits and physical benefits are insanely amazing. And there's a lot of science now. As you've probably heard, athletes have been doing this for decades. So now we're bringing this to the masses so that everybody can train safely in a simulated altitude training environment and increase their results in less time and safer. So you actually get more, like, less wear and tear in your muscles, because you're not actually able to train at such a high intensity because of the reduced oxygen environment. So it's better on your muscles. The recovery is outstanding. And what I love most about our sessions is we always finish with breath work and meditation. So it's a real, you got this real super like altitude high that you actually experience an altitude high, but then the end of our sessions is very relaxing. It's very calm and it's very centering. It gets you back into that state of zen, so you're ready to take on the day. But I guess the biggest takeaway from what I love most about it is it's about creating mental composure. It's about increasing your resilience in life. So we call it kind of like we call it like a controlled stress environment.
Yep.
So it's a big focus in our sessions, and we've got a number of sessions: strength, lean, boxing, and all that sort of stuff. Is about controlling your breath. Same way you do when you're acting, same way you're doing when you're performing on a footy field, same way you do when you're meditating. What are you doing in a stressful situation, in a controlled stress environment? If you focus on your breath, you can actually slow down your heart rate. You can actually be more aware. You can increase resilience. That is what we lead first with. It's brain training. Our studios is brain training first, and then physical training second.
That's such a cool resource, and obviously the team component. You cannot beat. It's why CrossFit was so successful, and even like High Rocks now with the teams and stuff. And any group training thing take off because you got that camaraderie, and it's so hard, especially for those who are athletes or played team sports. So after that, you're always looking to fill that void. So when you can find a group training experience that brings that back, it's
hard to, man. Like, it is a proper challenge. Like, people get into each other. You're training in sometimes pairs, sometimes a little team, and it is honestly, and I say this not just because I'm involved in it. It's really fucking cool, and it's a great way to take and transform skills that you learn inside the gym, aka breath work, controlled stress, composure, into an everyday life in a situation where you might be under stress, you might be under fatigue. What can you do in those situations in your life? You can transfer those same tools that we teach you in the gym.
Yeah, that's awesome. So good. Sam Webb, everyone. Mate, where can people find you if they want to follow on with your journey and all the stuff you're doing?
They can find me just on Instagram, probably is the easiest place. That's Sam Webb, or they can see at my website, samwebb.com.au, and follow the journey. And I appreciate the support that people have had on the Living project over the years. And yeah, if you want to support, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. I'll put all of that in the show notes, but thank you guys for tuning in. And if you got value from the episode, make sure you share it with your friends and leave a rating review. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.